Hello traders, I am not available on Monday or for the trading room on Tuesday morning. I am back Tuesday lunchtime. Got a business trip on Monday and not getting back until midday Tuesday. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to give you a bit more in-depth education at the front of this video to help you prepare for this week ahead. So before I do that, the data that's available for this coming week, we are very busy. Once we get Monday out of the way, we are very busy. And even 7 p.m. we have the federal budget balance looking for quite a shift from plus 182 to minus 87. Otherwise, Monday is quiet. Once we get to our desks, there'll be some Japanese data. Tuesday, on the whole, it's a pretty busy week once we get Monday out of the way. So we come into Tuesday with some Chinese data. UK inflation, really important. I think potential game changer if there is any difference to these sort of figures here. House price inflation looking for some weaker numbers. Then we get inflation, PPI, that's producers inflation on 1:30 Tuesday. Wednesday, of course, we have the Fed. Are the Fed going to put the rates up? The market at the moment is suggesting it will. So they've got a press conference booked in, so that is going to be the crucial point. Now, up till now, the market has been pretty confident that the Fed will increase. So if they do not increase, that could have a major impact on the markets. We'll talk about that as time goes on. Core price inflation. This is what it's all about. Core price inflation. This is going to be the big driver of rates. We've got core price inflation at 1:30 UK time on Wednesday the 14th. So we're looking for a slightly bigger number, and this could have a big impact on what they've decided or what they will decide to do around here as well. So once we get Wednesday out of the way, excuse me, we have UK retail sales, looking for a weak number, UK rates. Now, will the Bank of England come in and try and shore things up, or will they be hands off until they have more data behind them? Big question. We're not looking for any changes whatsoever. There is no press conference. That's normally a sign that we are steady as she goes, i.e. no changes. So unless they have a press conference, it's likely, not certain, but likely there will be no changes. Weekly jobs, and then Friday we have Bank of Japan conference and rate policy, and European inflation and consumer confidence in the US. So it's a busy week, which is good because that should increase volatility. So right, what I've got for you now is let's just look at what I'm looking for in these charts. So this is the key thing to look for in a chart. If you have got, this is 60 minutes on pound CAD on fibs on the previous week. So it's so we're coming to the week early in the week, breached the previous week's high so previous week's high, previous week's low, came back close to the 50% and then pushed up into the 127, at which point in the exit polls we just completely rolled over. Once you get a move like this, there is a tendency on less experienced people to look, or less experienced traders even, to look for a bounce and start buying. Don't do that. If you have got a half decent drop, look to short any retracements, and we retraced to the 50%, and ultimately on Friday we dipped down to the 127. So my message to you is, in the first or middle part of the week, if you've got a chart that's launching up to extensions and not holding, as with the 15-minute charts I've been talking to you about, scale that up, and if you get a 127 failure, then start shorting or you might want to start shorting with a stop above this price action, and then see if you can come down to the previous week's lows and then ideally into an extension situation. Let's give another example. Of course, we don't know that if you fail the 127 extension, we don't know that we're going to even get down to next week's lows. If you fail initially, you may only just come back to 50%. But the point is, if you get a sell signal here, you will likely get at least some sort of move into one of these areas here once you come off of this. That's my message to you. Let's look at another example. This is the Dow last week. Again, fibs on the previous weeks, low and the high. And we spent the first half of the week barely testing the upper fib zone. So there's a 50%. This is the main zone. We got as far as we breached this one, but we didn't breach this one. So it's a very, very bullish action. Kept getting the dips, kept getting bought. Even this dip here, which is fairly significant, got bought. We ultimately came up to the 127 extension, and I think we finished the week on the previous week's high. Okay, so this is a bullish consolidation followed by a little breakout, not a particularly terrific breakout. Talk about the Dow in more detail in a minute. Next chart I got for you is CAD Yen. Now this time we came into the week very weak, dipped down into this 127 extension, but breached the 127 extension, but we didn't test the 161. Instead, in the second half of the week, Wednesday and Thursday, and even Thursday night, we hit resistance levels, but we kept holding this trendline support. We ended up with a 1, 2, 3 wave reversal and ultimately came up into this area here. We actually finished here. So I think we touched 82.40, this higher fib zone, and then came back to a support area. So what I'm saying to you is, let these markets set up, particularly with a busy week like this week, and see where we are midweek with a view to where we are in these 60-minute charts. This is oil. Came into the market hitting the 50% on the Monday. We hit the 50%, I think it was a Wednesday, and then rolled down to the 127, went underneath the 127, and I think we closed on close to the previous week's lows from memory. I can double check that when we get to that chart. Okay, and that's back to the first example. So look out for extensions if you're going to get reversals, or like the Dow, look for retracements and then for potential breakouts. So just to re-emphasize what these 60-minute charts can give you and tell you about the potential for any one market. As with one or two previous Sundays, I'm going to start with markets that I think are bellwethers, and we'll look at some bellwether charts. Now this is the Nasdaq with the daily left, weekly middle, monthly right. This has tested right on my 127 extension on the monthly. Bear in mind we're only just about coming to the middle of June. Selling may go away, so cyclically this is an area where we will at least see profit taking. And on the weekly chart, this bellwether has put in a new high, and immediately in the week after, i.e. last week, put in an engulfing candle, meaning that the market's closed lower than the previous week. So it's a sell signal. It's a clear sell signal. If you look at the daily, this is a bar that's come right. This trend line I drew after this space was formed, and we've closed just narrowly above, breached it narrowly, and closed just above it. But the point is, after a flaky week, really narrow range week, we are going into the Fed rate decision on a bearish tone. Starting next week on a bearish tone. If you look at the Nikkei, Another market I like to look at this time of the year. This weekly closed higher, closed higher than the Nasdaq. I do apologise, but it did not engulf the previous week's range. And you can see on this monthly chart from these highs in December 15, we are butting up against the same resistance. Now, when we fired off on this area in December 15, we dropped from 19,900 to 14,700. Am I bearish this market? Yes. At this stage, yes. I have to be. I haven't got any choice because that's what the charts are telling me. Let's go across to the Dow. Look at a couple of other markets. The Dow closed higher, but it's marginal. We had a very fragile week, and the dip that we got on Friday saw a 120 pip rally into the last hour, close into the weekend. So the Dow held up, but the DAX didn't. If you look at Facebook, Tesla, all the usual sort of bellwethers, and Nvidia, a lot of these good tech bellwether stocks, as you'd expect, had a rough time and put in sell signals. So overall, this market is struggling and is not happy. As a rule of thumb, if you are in an environment where interest rates are rising, stock markets ultimately decline. The consumer has less spending power, and you get profit taking and potential decent retracements in the markets. All right, so we're going to the market. We're going to the start of the week with very little data on Monday, but with some very bearish looking charts. We'll look at Forex first. Now, bear in mind we just looked at these indices. Let's start with indices. Let's start with the Dow. Here's an hourly chart of the Dow. Now, this was Friday. This green line 250 is Friday's close. So we dipped into 150 and finished at 250. So if we see an extension at 358 and potentially right up there, could be as high as 422, and we start seeing some selling, then that's the point at which I want to get short. So I'd be happy to see any push higher in the Monday, Tuesday of the week, and then come Wednesday, who knows, it could happen earlier. It doesn't really matter about the timing. What's crucial is the price level. So I will alert this 358 and look to see if I can get a signal up there for a short. It's possible whether we start the week bearishly and we don't even get that far, but that's what I'll be looking for in that one. DAX, the weekly is in this apex. From this resistance, we close inside the apex. So if we start breaking the low at 600, then we are potentially short. On the hourly, I've got here, based on last week's price action, any push into 800, 840 higher would be great, but I'm not expecting it. I would expect to see that sell around about the 800, 840 mark if it is going to sell. FTSE, it's been pretty resilient to consider what's going on. So we'll talk about the UK situation at the moment later on, but just focus on what the charts are telling you. Don't focus on what you think about the election situation or politics in the UK. Just focus on what the charts are giving you. So it's a spinning top. So it's a lower close, closed under the previous week's range, under the previous week's close, and it's a spinning top candle, which generally means that there are pressures to the downside more so than the upside. So this is fibs on the previous week's range. Any push into 540 or 560 or higher is an area that I will be selling into. What I would do is when I get back on Tuesday, I'll do a summary video so I can bring up to date with what I'm seeing. Right, Forex. I think the best charts out there, potentially this one. This is US dollar, Mexican dollar. We are starting the week with a sell signal, and we've sold heavily from 220 to 181.60, 181.600 area. So I'm certainly not trying to pick a bottom on this because the monthly still looks as if it could be lower. However, with Fed coming up, I'm just looking to see if they can buy it. I would love to see this dip to under 180. So I'd love to see this continue to sell and then put a buy signal down at this 127 extension if we're going to get a reversal, because the trend is down. So if I'm going to look to buy it, I need a reversal situation, and 190 200 is a major support level from the lows here in August last year. So I'm being patient for that one to wait for further selling and then see if we get a reversal pattern lower down. I'm going to move now to the pound because that's obviously very topical. The monthly pushed into 130.85. I know it didn't actually touch that as high as that. It bumped into this sell signal from September. We are lower, and in the weekly we are just coming into this 20 simple moving average, having bumped into the fib level at 130.20. So only 260 pips off of that fib level. So any push into, let's have a look. So it's a sell signal, two lower days on Thursday, Friday. So if we fib the previous week, we get fibs like this. So I would love to see 900. A more likely scenario is 850, 840, 850. So just watch for a sell signal around about that area there. It could, of course, just gap down, fill a gap, and then continue lower. But that's ideally you would look for higher. You would want to get higher to then see if we can drop down to potentially 120, somewhere between 120 and 125. 124 has even got a lot of support. On the daily, the target would be 125. That would be the 200 simple moving average and the 50%. So it looks like 125 is the next stop. I need to get higher in order to get positioned. If I get a sell signal, I'm not just going to go in headlong looking for shorts. I need a sell signal. So we have had 1, 2, 3, 5 weeks of lower closes in this pound yen. So we got a potential buy signal here sitting on the 200 with a hammer-like bar. Well, hopefully that will lift us into this resistance and then give us a chance to short. On the weekly again, I've not updated it, let me update it. Friday's close, week's high, week's low, lower the fib cage on it, and 230, or a full retracement to the breakdown area 250 is a potential short. So look for those areas to see if you get a sell signal there. Pound CAD, equally I would look to get somewhere close 425, anything from 425 to 530. If we don't get up there, then I'll have to potentially look for lower signals. And let's look at the euro. Very resilient at the moment. We did close lower on the weekly. We are struggling at 230 on the monthly. This is fibs on the previous week already drawn in. So that's potential short at 240. And CAD yen lastly, good signal here. You know, this could catch a bid. If the dollar catches a bid, you know, their neighbours, the Canadians, might well get bid up as well. So it's a hammer-like bar. We've held this 80.90. Fibs on the previous week means we've got all the support at 81.20. So even if you miss this pop-up on Friday, take a look at 81.20 to see if that can hold. I'm going to take that way just so I just concentrate on what the fibs are telling me rather than the trend lines. Daily on this one, CAD yen. Not great. Yeah, it's pretty fragile, isn't it? Very, very fragile. So I'm happy to potentially wait until the second half of the week for that one. Right, gold looks short. I would sell into 1283. Uh, 3 days of selling. Stick an hourly chart on. Note how this sold from the big number 1300, and we got as far as the 161 extension. We breached the 161 extension. So this one closed there at 1266. This is the fibs on the previous week. So potential sell somewhere around 1280. Higher would be better. Okay, oil. This weekly, if you have a look at the weekly chart, I've got this range set here on the oil. So let's just try and figure out what's going on here on the oil. So a big drop here into the end of 2015. 2016 was pretty range bound. Now we've stuck in this range here for most of it, and it just fell out of it in the last quarter. But this, you know, we stuck pretty firmly to that range, and we're back in the same range now. So we dipped out of it in the early part of 2016, came back into it, dipped out in summer 2016, and then we're stuck back right back in this range, just coming into the lower part of the range now at 45, 46. So I would wait for a dip underneath this range. Oh, sorry, let me get rid of that. I would wait for this to dip lower. In fact, I'm going to lower that range. I think it's just, let's go on this most recent low down here at 44. Yeah, that's better. That's better. So I would look for 44, at least 45, if not 44. Who knows? It might even pull out of that level. As far as chart patterns are concerned, this one breached that support here in November before popping up to the upper range. Let's have a look at the chart pattern now. Take this low here, that low there. Yeah, we're just about getting a three-wave pattern, but we've got a lower close in the weekly. So it still looks as if the bears are in control. Let's look at the daily on this one. Yeah, we are from the fibs from 2017 lows to May highs. We are holding this breakup area from early May. So it is a buy signal because we had a new low close above next day, just narrowly. So I would still look for a lower number, but it does a lower number if it's going to work should get bought in the early part of the week. And there the monthly is just on the 20 simple moving average. So I'm looking for higher numbers in the pound and euro. Obviously the pound is going to be more the focus, because there's more volatility, more news, more politics and so on. And I'm looking for higher numbers in the Dow DAX also. I'm going to leave the CAD yen until the second half of the week, probably. Once we get the Fed rate announcement out of the way as well. Alright, so busy week. Market charts up, particularly the 60-minute charts. And then let's look at the signals that we are going to get. So I will be with you again Tuesday lunchtime, at which point I will do a very simple but thorough video to try and help you in the market at that period of the week. And Tuesday, after we've got a quiet Monday anyway, Tuesday lunchtime should be a good time to start to potentially get positioned. Okay, so I'll leave the video here because it's already getting close to half an hour, and any questions let me know, otherwise I will see you on Tuesday. Bye for now.